Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. It's Cynthia Gwiazda here at Hagaman Library. We've got some great new fiction this month that I'd like to share with you. So, without further ado, we will discuss some new fiction that you can borrow at the Hagaman Library. So, right. All right. So, new and featured fiction for June 2024. The first book I'd like to talk with you about is called Under the Magnolias by T.I. Lowe. Magnolia, South Carolina, 1980. Austin Foster is barely a teenager when her mama dies, giving birth to twins, leaving her to pick up the pieces while holding her six siblings together and doing her best to stop her daddy from retreating into his personal darkness. Scratching out a living on the family's tobacco farm is as tough as it gets. When a few random acts of kindness help to ease the Fosters' hardships, Austin finds herself relying on some of Magnolia's most colorful citizens for friendship and more. But it's next to impossible to hide the truth about the goings on at Nolia Farms, and Austin's desperate attempts to save face all but break her. Just when it seems she might have something more waiting for her, with the son of a wealthy local family who she's crushed on for years, her father makes a choice that will crack wide open the family's secrets and lead to a public reckoning. There are consequences for loving a boy like Vance Cumberland, but there's also freedom in the truth. T.I. Lowe's gritty, yet tender and uplifting coming of age tale reminds us that a great story can break your heart and then heal it in the best way possible. That's called Under the Magnolias by T.I. Lowe. The next book is called Circle in the Water by Marcia Muller. San Francisco is home to more than 200 privately owned streets. Most are alleyways, but a select few look torn straight from the pages of a magazine. Lined with mansions and elaborate gardens, the properties are luxurious and perfectly maintained. Security guards patrol the grounds to keep the curious at bay. Few know of these exclusive enclaves, but those who do prowl for availability, ready to make a grab for the precious real estate if opportunity strikes. When several such streets are targeted in a series of so called pranks, Sharon is hired by a coalition of concerned owners to investigate. But as things escalate, an attempt on Sharon's life, an explosion at a meth lab, and a shocking murder, Sharon realizes far more is at play than a few misdemeanors gone wrong. The case takes a sudden turn where one of McConey and Rapinski's most trusted employees is implicated, and Sharon will have to dig deep to save her agency and her life. That's called Circle in the Water by Marcia Muller. The next book is called An Inconvenient Wife by Karen E. Olson, who is a local author in the New Haven area. Kate Parker knows what she's getting into when she marries billionaire businessman Hank Tudor. She's his sixth wife, after all, and was by his side as his assistant when his fifth marriage to actress Caitlin Howard fell apart. But honeymoon plans go awry when a headless body is discovered near Hank's summer home, forcing Kate to contend with two more of his exes. Catherine Alvarez, the first, who lives as a shut-in with her computers, carefully following Tudor enterprises, and Anna Klein, the fourth, who runs a bed and breakfast where she and her wife keep a steady eye on things, particularly Hank's children, Lizzie and Teddy. In this clever and suspenseful reimagining of Tudor era betrayals, these three women become entwined in a deadly game of cat and mouse with each other, Hank, and Hank's brilliant fixer, Tom Cromwell. well, as Kate seeks to solve the puzzle of who, excuse me, of who the murdered woman is, who killed her, and whether her death has any connection to the other headless body from 8 years ago. An Inconvenient Wife by Karen E. Olson. Excuse me. The next book is called Wives Like Us by Plum Sykes. If you think the English countryside is all green wellies, muddy rovers, and gray haired ladies in tweed, then you've never visited the Bottoms. Welcome to the rose strewn country of Oxfordshire and the Tony Cotswold villages of Little Bottom, Middle Bottom, Great Bottom, and Montkin Bottom, recently annexed by a glittering new breed of female, the country princess. Following a ghastly row about a missing suite of diamonds, Tata Hawkins has flounced out of Montkin Bottom Manor with her daughter Minty and executive butler Ian Palmer in tow, decamping the old coach house to teach her husband Brian a lesson. But things don't go to plan. Brian disappears to Venice with a bikini designer, Selby Fairfax, the glamorous American divorcee who has inherited the beautiful estate next door, is refusing Tada's overtures at friendship. Tada's best friends, Sophie Thompson and Fernanda Ovington Williams, are distracted by their own heartache, and the posh Pennybacker whore sisters are plotting to prevent Tata regaining her crown as queen of the Bottoms. Worst of all, Ian has nowhere to store his collection of vintage Gucci loafers. Will Tata ever return to the comforts of the manor? Will Selby find her Prince Charming? Will the Pennybacker whores prevail? With the help of a pig farmeress moonlighting as a personal assistant, a male model moonlighting as a stable hand, and a London barrister moonlighting as a gentleman farmer, can Ian restore harmony to the Bottoms? That is called Wives Like Us by Plum Sykes. The next book is called The Sicilian Inheritance by Joe Piazza. Sarah Marsala barely knows who she is anymore after the failure of her business and marriage. On top of that, her beloved great aunt Rosie passes away, leaving Sarah bereft with grief. But Aunt Rosie's death also opens an escape from her life and a window into the past by way of a plane ticket to Sicily, a deed to a possibly valuable plot of land, and a bombshell family secret. Rosie believes Sarah's great grandmother, Serafina, the family matriarch who was left behind while her husband worked in America, didn't die of illness. As family lore has it, she was murdered. Thus begins a twist filled adventure that takes Sarah all over the picturesque Italian countryside as she races to solve a mystery and learn the story of Serafina, a feisty and headstrong young woman in the early 1900s, thrust into motherhood in her teens, who fought for a better life not just for herself, but for all the women of her small village. Unsurprisingly, the more she challenges the status quo, the more she finds herself in danger. As Sarah discovers more about Serafina, she also realizes she is coming head to head with the same menacing forces that took down her great grandmother. At once an immersive, multi generational mystery and an ode to the undaunted heroism of everyday women, The Sicilian Inheritance is an atmospheric, page turning delight. That is called The Sicilian Inheritance by Joe Piazza. The next book is called The Waters by Bonnie Jo Campbell. On an island in the Great Massasauga Swamp, an area known as The Waters to the residents of nearby White Hart, Michigan, herbalist and eccentric Hermione herself Zook has healed the local women of their ailments for generations. As stubborn as her tonics are powerful, herself inspires reverence and fear in the people of Whiteheart, and even in her own three estranged daughters. The youngest, the beautiful, inscrutable, and lazy Rose Thorne, has left her own daughter, 11-year-old Dorothy donkey, Zook, to grow up wild. Donkey spends her days searching for truths in the lush landscape and in her math books, waiting for her wayward mother and longing for a father, unaware that family secrets, passionate love, and violent men will flood through the swamp and upend her idyllic childhood. Rage simmers below the surface of this divided community, and those on both sides of the divide have closed their doors against the enemy. The only bridge across the waters is Rose Thorn. With a ruthless and precise eye for the details of the physical world, Bonnie Jo presents an elegant antidote to the dark side of masculinity, celebrating the resilience of nature and the brutality and sweetness of rural life. That's The Waters by Bonnie Jo Campbell. And the next book is called The Funeral Ladies of Ellery County by Claire Swinarski. Esther Larson has been cooking for funerals in the North Woods of Wisconsin for 70 years. Known locally as the Funeral Ladies, she and her cohort have worked hard to keep the mourners of Ellery County fed. It is her firm belief that there is very little a warm casserole and a piece of cherry pie can't fix. But after falling for an internet scam that puts her home at risk, the proud Larson family matriarch is the one in need of help these days. Iris, Esther's wimp smart Gen Z granddaughter, would do anything for her family and her community. As she watches her friends and family move out of their lakeside town onto bigger and better things, Iris wonders why she feels so left behind in a place she is desperate to make her home. But when Cooper Welsh shows up, she finally starts to feel like she's found a missing piece of her puzzle. Cooper is dealing with becoming a legal guardian to his younger half sister after his beloved stepmother dies. Well, their celebrity chef father is focused on his booming career and top ranked television show. Cooper is still hurting from a public tragedy he witnessed last year as a paramedic and finding it hard to cope. With Iris in the gorgeous Ellery County, however, he hopes he might finally find the home he's been looking for. It doesn't seem like a community cookbook could possibly solve their problems, especially one where casseroles have their own section and cream of chicken soup mix is the most frequently used ingredient. But when you mix the can do spirit of Midwestern grandmothers with the stubborn hope of a boy raised by food, plus a dash of long awaited forgiveness, things might just turn out okay. That's The Funeral Ladies of Ellery County by Claire Swinarski. And that concludes our book talk for today. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully, you're on your lunch break and you get a chance to see this. Uh, so thanks for tuning in, and please consider following us on social media for more recommendations, news about our events, and other library goodness. Check out any of our new and featured fiction. If you would like to check those out, please visit us either in person or online at hagamanlibrary.org. Our social media handles are for Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter/X are at Hagaman Library. Instagram and Threads are at Hagaman_East Haven. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I look forward to coming back next month with some more great reads. Have a wonderful afternoon, and thanks for joining me.